not subscribed to our channel, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button as shown above. Hello friends, welcome to Kamath Astrology. Today's topic is how do we manifest problems for ourselves. I will tell you a story and we can gain a deeper insight into how we manifest our own problems. So in the Shiv Puran, there is a very beautiful story. Once Lord Shiva was sitting on mountain Kailash and his wife Parvati was in a very playful mood. She comes from behind and playfully closes both the eyes of Lord Shiva. For a moment, Lord Shiva gets stunned and the whole universe plunges into darkness. Now, the two eyes of Shiva are regarded as the sun and the moon respectively, and both these are light emitting bodies. So, when the goddess closes the eyes of Lord Shiva, the whole universe plunges into darkness. Creation stops. Everything comes to a halt. To protect the universe, Lord Shiva opens his third eye and a light illuminates the entire universe. However, the heat coming from the third eye of Lord Shiva causes sweat drops to fall from Parvati's hands, which have covered Lord Shiva's two eyes. When those drops fall on the ground, a terrible child who is blind is born from those drops. And Lord Shiva then tells Parvati to remove her hands. And she is very scared when she looks at the child because the child is very terrible and the child is blind. Lord Shiva names the child as Andhakasur and tells Parvati that it is our own child which was born from the sweat drops that fell from your hand on the ground due to the heat of my third eye. Lord Shiva tells Parvati to look after the child as her own child and she agrees to do so. Far away, deep in a forest, is a demon called Hiranyaksh, who was the elder brother of Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad, and he did not have any child. Both Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu loved each other a lot. There was a lot of bonding between the brothers. However, Hiranyakashipu had four children, Prahlad, Allad and two other children, while Hiranyaksh, who was the king, did not have any child. So one day his wife told him that once you are gone, this kingdom will go to your brother's children. Don't you feel like you should have your own child? Hiranyaksh thought over this and therefore he went to the forest and started meditating on Lord Shiva. He continued his penance for thousands of years and finally Lord Shiva appeared before him and he asked Lord Shiva to gift him with a child. Lord Shiva said that as per his previous karmas, he was not destined to have a child. But since he has prayed to Lord Shiva and he has done immense penance, Lord Shiva decides to give Andhak to Hiranyaksh and tells him to look after Andhak as his own child. Hiranyaksh is overjoyed. He takes Andhakasur to his kingdom and looks after him as his own child. However, as the child grows up and when he is playing with his cousins, they often tease him that you are blind, how will you manage the kingdom? You give it to us. After listening to this many times, the child gets deeply hurt. Andhakasur gets deeply hurt. He decides to go to the forest and meditate on Lord Brahma and he does a very severe penance. Lord Brahma finally appears before him and asks him for a boon. Andakasur says, I want two boons. First is you grant me vision, may I be no longer blind. And second is, may I be immortal. Brahma says that anyone who is born on this earth has to die. No one can be immortal, but I will give you the freedom to choose the way you want to die. Mentally, Andakasur thinks that I will ask Brahma for such a thing which will never happen, and that way I will become immortal. So he asks Brahma for a boon that he will die only when he looks with lust at his own mother and thinks of making her his wife. Brahma agrees to this and grants him the boon. Andakasur also requests Brahma that I want one more boon, that I should never be killed by Lord Vishnu or any of his avatars. Because he knew that Lord Vishnu would incarnate and kill the demons. So he asks for protection from Lord Vishnu. Brahma grants that boon too. And now Andakasur becomes very powerful. He wreaks havoc across the three worlds, that is heaven, earth, as well as in the Patal Lok. The people, the Devas, they are all scared of Andakasur and they start praying to Lord Shiva. One day, Andakasur's soldiers, they visit a mountain, and inside that mountain there is a cave, and in the cave they see a hermit sitting with a snake around his neck, a Athrissur in his hand, and the hermit is deep in meditation, and near him is a beautiful woman who is his wife. Now those soldiers think that this woman is fit only to be the wife of Andakasur, who is the overlord of the three worlds now. So they go and tell this to Andakasur. Andakasur gets tremendous feelings of lust and he decides to go and see this himself. And when he sees Parvati, he gets captivated by her beauty and he tells Shiva to give her up and let her be his queen. Lord Shiva does not agree to this, and there is a fight then between Andakasur and Lord Shiva. Now, since Andakasur has broken the rules of Brahma's boon and he has cast a lustful eye towards his own mother, Lord Shiva succeeds in killing him. Lord Shiva pierces the trident into his chest and holds him up high in the air, impaled on the trident. Andakasur now realizes his own mistake. He understands that Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati are his own parents, and he is full of remorse and he asks for forgiveness. Lord Shiva forgives him, and Andakasur then becomes one of the Ganas of Lord Shiva, whose name is Bringi. Now I will tell you a second story where once Lord Indra, the king of Devas, decides to visit Lord Shiva. He goes with his guru Brihaspati to Lord Shiva. However, Indra is very proud that he is the king of heaven. Lord Shiva decides to test Indra. Before he enters the Kailash mountain, Lord Shiva sits there in the form of an ordinary hermit. Indra cannot recognize Shiva and he tells him, "Move out of the way, I want to enter Kailash." The hermit simply ignores what Indra says. Indra finally gets very angry and he invokes his thunderbolt to throw it towards the hermit. Lord Shiva assumes his original form and he gets very angry. Brihaspati, the guru of Devas, then prays to Lord Shiva and calms him down. However, Lord Shiva then asks Brihaspati, "What should I do with the anger that generated within me?" And Brihaspati says, throw that anger into the ocean, and Lord Shiva throws that emotion of anger into the ocean, and from that is born a demon, Jalandharasur. And now the same thing happens. Jalandharasur is very powerful. He wreaks havoc across the three worlds. And finally, Lord Shiva has to take a lot of efforts to fight and defeat him. So, what do these two stories tell us? Now, for a moment, when Parvati covered Lord Shiva's eyes, he was stunned. There was an emotion of momentary fear. And from that was born ignorance, that is Andhakasur or blindness. Andhakasur, although he acquired a lot of power, he could not distinguish between his own mother and the woman he wanted to make his wife. So he was that blinded, he was that ignorant, and therefore he was actually known as Andhakasur. So sometimes what this story tells us is that fear blinds us so much that it creates a negative emotion from which a difficulty or an asura is born. And then to defeat that asura, lot of penance, lot of struggle has to be undertaken. Similarly, in the second story, you see Lord Shiva gets angry at Lord Indra, and that emotion of anger creates an asura called Jalandharasur. Now, similarly, we are all portions of the Supreme Lord. We are all His children, and therefore, the same qualities manifest in all of us. We also have negative emotions such as anger, hatred, resentment, jealousy, and whenever we fall prey to such an emotion, we create an asura, that is a problem in our own life, which then becomes very difficult to solve, very difficult to overcome, and because of that, we have to face a lot of struggle. And so, whenever you manifest hatred towards someone, whenever you manifest resentment towards someone, whenever you are jealous about someone, whenever you envy someone, you are actually creating a problem or an asura who is later going to bother you. And to overcome that asura, that problem, you will have to face a lot of struggle, is what these two stories tell us. So, the problems that manifest in our life are a result of our own negative emotions and our lack of control over those emotions. If you read our scriptures carefully, you will understand that most of these stories are actually coded versions. If you see the name of the asuras, Andhakasur, Lobasur, Madhasur, these are all negative qualities that are present within a human being. And this is what really manifests as a result of our negative emotions. So, the next time you feel hatred, you feel resentment, you feel anger, remember that you are generating an asura who is going to create a problem for you. And that anger, that hatred, that resentment may eventually manifest in the form of a problem, such as a problem in your personal life, in your family, in your health, in your work life. Now, one more thing I forgot to tell you was that when Lord Shiva was fighting with Andhakasur, Andhakasur had also a boon that if a drop of blood fell from his body on the ground, that would manifest as another asura. And therefore, when Lord Shiva was trying to kill Andhakasur, the drops of blood that fell on the ground, they manifested as more asuras, which means that once ignorance is created, once a negative emotion is created, it spreads rapidly and it becomes very difficult to control it once it starts spreading. So, the moral of the story is problems manifest in our life due to the negative emotions that we hold within ourselves, that is anger, jealousy, hatred, resentment, envy. So, as much as possible in your life, do not hold grudges, do not get very angry, do not have resentment for anyone, and you will find that most of the problems will automatically go away once you start adopting this attitude in life. So, friends, thanks a lot. For any queries, please write to us at astrosevaworld@yahoo.com and we'll be glad to assist you.